nice little soothing, relaxing.
I'm relaxed.
I'm relaxed. I feel better now. That shows where Mondays can be good if you let
Please go
cards. Second wave
into flip monsters that you special summon to horrible to your opponent.
Okay, so the new Mimighoul is Mimighoul Armor.
1 flip monsters.
If this in the main phase, you can apply these effects in sequence. This turn, Mimighoul monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Huh. Give control of this card to your opponent. Wow. Okay. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand in the face down defense position. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card face up to your field. Okay, so
monsters, and I'll tell you
just
right
prevents
now,
Mimighoul monsters from being destroyed by battle.
That's going to be really important as we go through these first few cards, starting with Mimighoul Armor.
Armor's not a bad card, guys. It's a reinforcement of army target.
During your main phase, you can special summon this card.
It's a warrior. It's an earth monster.
But instead,
I don't think this does what we need from Mimighouls, but
like the first wave of them,
it does help.
What it has instead is a condition where you can special summon it to your field face up instead. That's important for accumulating materials to make these Xyz summons.
That's fair.
Monsters are really good. So
it is a free body.
Make sure that you have those materials available, and you can do it even if you go second.
I like that.
For instance, because that's one of the areas where the Mimighoul deck can suffer a lot.
I don't think that the card breaks the deck, but I think that it's welcome, right?
You can still
is there a new card?
And special summon this from your hand, right?
Yep.
Yep. Pretty good.
Just if your opponent controls a monster.
I like that.
It could even be one you gave them, like
so,
another Mimighoul. Speaking of another Mimighoul, you're going to see a lot of this next one as well. So this is Mimighoul Fairy, who you might have seen before. Where did you?
This turn, your opponent can activate the effects of special summon monsters from the hand. So it stops Diabelle, it stops Poplar, it stops Fantastical, it stops Bestial monsters effects on field. Okay.
Did you see it before?
Well, I follow our Twitter channels, so I definitely saw
it's good in the mirror match.
Event celebration card was going to be, and it appeared right there on Mimighoul Charm.
And it can special summon itself
right
face
there.
up.
So this is Mimighoul Fairy.
Whoa, this card's kind of good.
Mimighoul Archfiend, as you can see, as part of Mimighoul Charm. And if we take a look at the condition for special summoning Fairy face up to your field, it's just if you control a Mimighoul monster.
Wow.
So the key to this, I say as she has the key in the lock right there, is that it involves no input from your opponent. As long as you have a Mimighoul face up, you could special summon Mimighoul Fairy. It's very useful, especially if you're going first and you need to set some things up. You'll see a little bit later on, but it makes it so that drawing just Dragon is able to pull off, set up both dungeon and room at the same time, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The flip effect is very useful sometimes. And sometimes, well, any deck that has a lot of things that's special summon from the hand.
Matchup dependent?
It's matchup dependent, but in the matchups where it's good, it's really good. And the flip effect is this turn you can't activate the effects of monsters. Very popular as well, but it could also shut off a lot of the Tenpai dragons, for instance, that are special summoned out of the hand.
It does.
On. It won't stop Genruku, though, since that's usually going to be in the draw phase before you have a chance to use a Mimighoul Fairy. But cannot activate monsters special summoned from the hand.
Yeah, I think the card's
Where
good.
this fits in is that if you've got your Mimighoul dungeon lock set up, the only monsters that are going to be played are being special summoned from the hand. So if you have, the face down and you've got the dungeon, and you can flip Fairy over to your side of the field, but then they can't normal summon. Hopefully they can't flip the monster because you gave it to them with a rune, and then any monster that they do special summon from the hand will not be able to activate its effects.
I'm not going to lie, chat. This deck does not look fun to play.
To set off
like
your
against
on your own turn if you don't need to set it up for something else.
Instead of making it really cool, and this is my opinion so far, instead of making it a really cool deck that does a lot of great things, the deck seems built on making your opponent have as least fun as possible. So I'm not
going forward.
Not sure if I like that.
And you're going to see a lot of this next one in decks going forward as well. It is Mimighoul Slime.
Okay.
So it also has a condition to special summon face up to your field. It's if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. That's probably the least likely one that you're going to use. In fact,
your opponent can special summon a Mimighoul monster from their deck to their field. Yo, this deck just got way more consistent.
Trying to give this to my opponent and flip it face up. Because its flip effect is that your opponent could special summon a Mimighoul monster from your deck to their field.
pretty good.
Your opponent in this case is you, the Mimighoul player, because you're not flipping this up.
Isn't that all Yu-Gi-Oh decks?
Come on.
I wouldn't. Not really.
There's no level restriction on it. So you could either get one of the level 1s, you could summon a dragon to your field, so you could grab a spell or trap. But you could also summon Mimighoul Master to your field if you wanted as well, which gets you another monster to your hand and the ability to switch the battle position of your opponent's monsters during their main phase.
This one
Mimighoul
also
Slime
summons
is
face up.
a real good one. It's not going to win any awards for attack points, but that's fine because you're going to stack it on top of something else
Chat, is it coming out of Pot of Greed?
for one of the Xyz monsters, which we're going to take a look at coming up next.
Okay. You can detach one material. Special one Mimighoul Master from your hand, deck, or graveyard. That's really good. You can target one Mimighoul Master you control. Equip this card as an equip card that gives an 1,000 attack. Then you can return cards on the field to the hand up to the number of materials this card had. You can only use Mimighoul Throne once per
So
turn.
starting off, we have Mimighoul Throne. Mimighoul Throne is made with 2 level 1 Mimighoul monsters. And if I told you that there's a monster that's based on the Mimighoul Throne, I bet you could guess what it's going to do.
Has to be something. I just see Mimighoul Master all over the artwork here.
Right? Like this is his seat. This is what he sits on. So of course Mimighoul Throne is going to let you special summon Mimighoul Master from your hand or deck or graveyard. You can detach a material to do that. And then during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can then have Master sit on the throne by equipping Throne to it as an equip spell that gives it plus 1,000 attack points. And then
That makes
you
it really
return
beefy.
cards from the field of the hand up to the number of materials that this card had on it. So if you just already had Mimighoul Master and then you made Throne and equipped it, you get to bounce 2. But if you got it out of your deck with Throne, you'd only get to bounce 1. But that's fine because it's a quick effect disruption that you can play during your opponent's turn or your turn if you need to. You just can't use both effects in the same turn. So you want to watch out for that. Generally, what you do is you special summon.
So I think that the Mimighoul support so far has been
and then on
good
your
for
opponent's
Mimighoul.
turn, when you need a disruption, you equip the Throne and bounce whatever the key card they have is. So Mimighoul Throne is the first of the Xyz monsters.
Yeah, Mimighoul
the
might
next
just be
one-
crazy.
Oh, this one looks so cool.
Oh
This
my
one-
God.
This one it's kind of the everything monster. It's a starter, it's a finisher, it's scary, it's cool.
What
This
the
is
hell,
giant
Chad?
Mimighoul. You can make it with any 2 level 1 monsters, so if you've got some kind of interesting deck where you're using a bunch of other level 1 special summons, then they can help out.
Normal summon Snake Eyes Ash gets to this chat.
To make giant Mimighoul here. So the finisher portion of it, let's do the starter part first, and then we'll do the finisher part last.
There's a lot to unpack in this card.
So the starter part of it is that if it's a Xyz summon, you can add any Mimighoul card from your deck to your hand.
Seems like a pretty good effect.
Pretty useful. This is huge because it opens up some lines of play where you just have dragon, and you just turn that dragon into dungeon and room. So for example, you can summon your dragon, you add dungeon, dungeon adds Fery, Fery special summon to your field, Xyz summon giant Mimighoul, pick up room, set room, and there you go. You've
Yeah,
got
nobody's
Mimighoul,
doing
you've got
that.
Dungeon, you've got room. And with the stat line here, it's 1,300 attack, 2,000 defense. That means the giant Mimighoul will go up to 3,300 attack on your opponent's turn. So it's a very intimidating card in general. But you could also use this, let's say you started with, Dragon and Dungeon or something like that, where you already have one of the cards you needed to search, you could then go
This
ahead and
does
leave
look
in
like
Mimighoul
Ghost Trick,
Charm
bro.
as another search as well to power up your end board.
TJ is gonna
This
go
is some of what
crazy.
you already know about. We'll look at it in a little bit. But continuing with Giant Mimighoul, it has 2 big ways that are going to help you finish duels, which is something that Mimighoul decks really need. The first is that your non-Xyz Mimighouls can attack directly if your opponent has a face-down monster.
That's
So with the power of Dungeon, you can get a lot of attack points really quickly and just get them past whatever monsters your opponent has. So for example, Mimighoul Master is normally 3,000. If you stick Throne on it, it's 4,000. You can get direct with that. There are, I believe, 3 different Mimighouls that have over 2,000 attack points when they're boosted up by the dungeon. Armor, for instance.
Chat,
is
pick up your light of
25.
interventions.
Dragon's 25.
Cooks
and
this deck.
Cerberus is the other one, which is 22. So if you have the equipped Master and 2 other ones, that's game right there. I think it's more likely that you just have Master and one of the 2,000 attackers. A lot of times it's going to be Dragon. So let's say you get
Yeah, there was an
6,500
XC
damage
before the
through
Throne.
battle.
Just a little short.
Just a little short. Well, this final effect of Giant Mimighoul can finish that duel off for you. You can detach material from it, target face-up cards on the field up to the number of face-down monsters.
Yeah, and then
your opponent
destroy
controls.
them? That's
Destroy
crazy.
them, and inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent for each of the cards destroyed. So if you got them with 2 face-down monsters...
You can use Dolan to
maybe
get
Book of
F-Zero
Doom.
combo?
Book of
You
Eclipse.
just Book of Eclipse first before you did all this.
Things get crazy.
There are a lot of ways that you can give them 2 face-down cards. But you can just make up the rest of that damage right away without giving your opponent another turn. You can do it even if they have no face-up monsters, because you can destroy your own cards with this. I'm sure that you have tribute summoned to Caius before while your opponent has less than 1,000 and just had it vanish itself, right? Like, that's happened before. You can do that with, that's one of the key ways to finish things off with Giant Mimighoul. It's just a
This
really
card's
great
stupid.
card.
This deck's
that
dumb.
fulfills
This
a lot
deck's
of different
ridiculous.
functions. And thanks to the new flip monsters, it's a lot easier
So, chat, hear me
to
out.
do it either on your own turn or on your...
You normal summon Snake Eyes Ash, right? Snake Eyes Ash gets Poplar. Poplar gets the field spell for all that matters, right? You summon the Poplar. You make this card. This card can at least destroy the field spell to destroy a face-down card your opponent controls and inflict damage. But you also get a Mimighoul monster to your hand. Like, I don't know, Mimighoul Master or something like that, right? You can make Dullahan, make Ghost Trick Angel, search Ghost Trick Sot, summon Dullahan, make another Angel, then F-Zero. So, as you can see, there's multiple things that these particular cards can do. And I'd like that these particular strategies get stronger, but I'm not sure if we're okay with, like, our opponent preventing us from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Just straight up, like, you know what I mean?
your opponent's turn, or both. Like, you might play multiple copies of Giant Mimighoul, summon one to start your game and summon another one to finish it later on. It's a great card.
Yeah, I really like that you can still give them Mimighouls and then attack directly. So you go for the damage after you give them a face-down monster.
This is the Mimighoul Charm going on.
Oh, man, they have another card. Once per chain. Please don't do something annoying. If a Mimighoul monster your opponent controls is flipped face up, you can randomly choose one face down card in your opponent's extra deck. And if it is a monster that can be special summoned, it's special summoned to your field. But it cannot activate its effects this turn. If it wasn't or couldn't be special summoned, banish the card.
The premier card that you can return. Deck, its effect summon is as long
I don't think this card's
as
good.
really tight.
I don't think this card's that
But
good,
you have
chat.
Fiendsmith cards as well.
This
But
has to be a little
it's
knight
just-
and then
it's
pass back to
like
your opponent.
We
Those
already don't like Kashtira Unicorn. And
attacks will be live
you
again
gave
for
us a
you too as
Kashtira
well,
Unicorn.
there's a
Once
lot of
per
good cards you
chain.
can hit.
There certainly are. And then moving on, we've got our final new Mimighoul card, and this is Mimighoul.
Dear Lord. And it's a secret rare? Target one face down monster your opponent controls. Your opponent chooses one of the effects. Change it to face up attack or defense position. Send it to the graveyard. Then its owner draws 2 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Add one Mimighoul Fork from your deck to your hand. Chat, my opponent is drawing 2 cards every single time. Oh, it's once per chain, twice per turn? Okay, yes. All right, cool. But it's still annoying. My opponent is drawing 2 cards every single time, chat. I'm not flipping a Mimighoul's face up. I don't think this card is as good. I think both Mimighoul Charm and Mimighoul Fork are not great cards, right? I think they're okay. And it's a good thing because it's okay to have okay cards. But yeah, let me know what you guys think.
Effects, and you apply it. Either
Why
choose
can't
face
Vanquish Soul
effect
get this
defense
kind of
position,
love?
Or send it to the graveyard, and its owner
I don't know.
Draws 2 cards. Imagine they all do now because they're definitely watching this stream. This is just going to be Destiny draw every time. You're never going to give your opponent a face-up level 1 monster because only bad things happen.
I'm sorry, the person that's using this card is going to get the
And
draw.
This is kind of an even version. So like Destiny draw, you discarded Malicious, right, to draw 2 cards. Then you got getting another copy of the monster. You get another copy of the spell. They go forks, then you draw.
You have to go.
I don't think this card is as cool. It's kind of unreliable. You want your cards to perform a particular function and
A
not
lot of good ones
multi.
there.
You know,
Giant Mimighoul. I think is kind of like a real game changer for this. And just being able to get a lot of extra monsters off of Slime.
Yeah, like again,
Excited
my
to see this.
overall
I don't
thoughts
think-
on, because I'm pretty sure they're done. My overall thoughts on the Mimighoul monsters, they definitely got a lot better. They may not have the same trajectory as, you know, Ashen or maybe even Gold Pride or B Trooper. They seem stronger than those particular decks. Again, to go over the cards quickly, I think Fork isn't a great card. I think it's okay. And the main reason is because, like, you have to give up 2 cards, right? You have to give your opponent a monster, which is a card out of your hand, and then you have to activate this card just to draw 2 more cards. It's a worst destiny draw, right? Or your opponent can change the monster to face up attack or defense position, and depending on the situation, like what if it's not the best Mimighoul monster? What's this the one? What if you're stuck with the one that destroys all your opponent's monsters and they don't have any monsters? Like the card's completely dead. Yeah, like of course we're doing stuff like that, right? So I don't think this card's that good. It seems good in theory. Yo. Patterson, thank you so much for the 5 gifted, big dog.
Subscriptions to the community.
But this card seems good in theory, but in practice, I don't think it's that strong, right? There's also Mimighoul Charm. Now, we hate cards like Kashtira Unicorn, and this deck already can play Kashtira Engine very easily. So imagine losing 3 cards out of your extra deck. That probably not the end of the world, but still ridiculously annoying, chat. Like, I don't like these type of effects. And fortunately enough, it's not banished face down, so I guess there's that, but I don't know, chat. And it's random. I'm not for that. Right? Giant Mimighoul is probably one of the most busted cards because it makes Snake Eye full combo. Or Snake Eyes makes this deck full combo, which I don't think we like at all, chat. I like its effects, though. I think that this is a good, well-designed Yu-Gi-Oh card other than it being generic, right? If it wasn't generic, a little bit restricted, it's fine. The other monster, the other Xe, I think the other Xe, maybe we swap the effects on some of these cards, right? Like we swap between the Giant Mimighoul and the other card, Mimighoul Throne. But Throne is like the worst Xe, but it still has really solid effects, giving you a bounce and a summon into your Mimighoul Master. It means that any 2 Mimighoul monsters finally become Mimighoul Master, which becomes your field spell or whatever other cards you need. Right? Mimighoul Slime is cool. Mimighoul Slime's the reinforcement, the card that you want. Mimighoul Fairy, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monster special from the hand. I think that it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, it's not like that much of a hindrance, but it can be incredibly frustrating to some players playing certain decks, right? Like, it's almost like a blowout. I've never been a fan of Floodgate-like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And Mimighoul already has Floodgate-like properties that just don't feel fun to play against, right? And the last card is Mimighoul Armor. And Mimighoul monsters can't be destroyed by battle, and that's pretty much it. This card's probably another one of the worst ones, but it actually is not a bad one because these new Mimighoul monsters can summon themselves to the side of the field, which I think is pretty cool. So overall, my thoughts on Mimighoul.
So much of those anime and manga.
Solid archetype.
It's a really cool set. I
Dark
hope you
Hole cooks
enjoy
it, though.
As much as we did working on it, this card game. I'm Billy Brake. Jerome McHale's here. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, he finally stopped moving. But yeah, that's what I think about the Mimighoul cards, guys. They're pretty decent cards. They're all right. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. All right, big dogs. I think we will reconvene tomorrow. I got a lot of videos to make, apparently. I got to turn this into a video, turn the last one into a video. But we'll get back together and we'll stream. Again, we're thinking about switching the stream to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So really trying to figure that out. We'll get that together, though, guys. You guys be safe, all right? I love you all, and I'll catch you on the next one, okay?